What's up, everyone? Kevin Allen here, aka the Geek from DFS Army, and this is your NFL FanDuel Week 11 first look, where we're going to look through all the position groups on FanDuel, get a look at some of the matchups for NFL Week 11, and hopefully put together a nice little early week first look lineup. So let's just jump right into this one. And when we do these breakdowns, what I like to do at first is take a look at the various games and just give a little look at which games look like they could pop. Obviously, last week we had an interesting phenomenon where Dak Prescott, in a game where the Cowboys were favored by 17 points, winds up going bananas in that game. They're throwing the whole time and just producing a monster score, and not just for himself, but Brandon Cooks and CeeDee Lamb, all the pass catchers, Ferguson, they all did well. Right? So we have a lot of games on tap this week. Now, normally I like to fade those kind of games where it's non-competitive. One team is a massive favorite. But obviously last week, that approach didn't work. Now, a lot of the other games were really great, but that approach didn't work in that game. So the question is, long-term, what do you take away from that? Do we look at that and say, oh, now massive favorites, we want to just target those offenses? Maybe yes. Normally it's the running game, but Dallas refuses to run the football. And speaking of Dallas, they're the first game on the board here. Massive favorites on the road at the Panthers. Panthers have been a team that has been much more attackable via the run than the pass all year. But my goodness, playing Pollard is like asking for disaster. So we'll have to think about that game. But Dallas is a massive favorite with a 26.25 point team total there. The second game, Steelers at the Browns, looks pretty gross on paper, 36.5 point total. Two really good defenses. The only real interest I have here, maybe the Browns running back there, maybe Browns defense, something like that. Bears at the Lions, 47 point total. This one's got a nice total. I think Justin Fields might be back for this game, so that could be interesting. And of course, the Lions have a giant team total. Bears are actually pretty good against the run, which means, elevated chance that Goff has a good game here. So we'll keep an eye on him and his pass catchers. Charges at the Packers. Packers games really have been low scoring for the most part this year, just slow moving. They're a low paced team. Chargers coming off a big game last week, 23.5 point projection here. So maybe some interest, but we'll have to see. Cardinals at the Texans. This one really pops on paper anyway, 47.5 point total. Fairly close spread here with the Texans installed as slight home favorites. Texans coming in with a 25.75 point team projection. And I think this is a spot to get a lot of players from. I think that we'll get a back and forth affair here. And this is a game I definitely want to target this week. Titans at the Jaguars, 40 point total. That one's pretty gross across the board. Maybe some Jaguar spots might be of interest. Raiders at Miami. Miami's another one. Massive favorite. They can score any way they want. Raiders defense, not that good. So we have to really pay attention to this game in terms of if we think Tua is going to be thrown for these touchdowns. Of course, Tua to Tyreek and all of that is great, but you have Mostert and HN. Both are really, really expensive here on FanDuel. So we'll see if we get anything from that game at all. Giants at Washington. Giants are terrible. Tommy DeVito, horrible. So Washington defense going to be in play here. And of course, maybe the running back, Brian Robinson, but maybe not. Tampa at San Francisco, 41.5 point total. That's another low total game, but San Francisco does come in with a high total team total of 26.5 points, which I believe is the second highest on this entire slate, second only to the Lions. So maybe some interest here in the 49ers side. It is hard to run on the Bucks, so maybe they're going to throw for some touchdowns. Giants at the Jets at the Bills. 40 point total. That's a pretty ugly one. I don't think we'll have too much going on there outside of Bills defense. And finally, Seattle at LA, the Rams. And this is a close game. Rams are slight home underdogs, 1 point home underdogs, but 46 point total, super close game. That'd be a lot more interesting if Kyren Williams was back, but he's not. All right. So let's jump over to FanDuel. And of course, before we get into this, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you appreciate doing this FanDuel content, you'll see a lot of FanDuel content out there. Not a lot of people doing the FanDuel content. So, we're hanging in the niche here, doing some FanDuel when no one else does, and just getting you ready for the slate. So, do me a favor, hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel for this style of content all throughout the week. All right. Taking a look at the quarterback position on FanDuel, you got Josh Allen, the highest priced guy at the, at home against the Jets. I'm not sure I love that spot in terms of a high scoring spot. Jets defense is pretty good. Buffalo offense is pretty bad. So that's a combination of reasons why I'm probably not going to be super on to Buffalo this week. Justin Herbert on the road, 8,800, just okay. Here's your heavy favored teams, Dak and Tua, 85 and 8,400. Yeah. Again, I've done a lot of years of playing DFS, and one of my things was trying to avoid these non-competitive game environments, but every once in a while it's going to burn you. So I guess you just have to pick a style and stick to it. And I'm sticking to my style. I don't care. Sticking to it. But it is really interesting to note that how Dallas is just throwing like crazy right now. I think they've gotten pass happy. It's like an MMA fighter who's really more of a grappler and submission guy, but he knocks someone out, and then all he wants to do is go for knockouts. It's like, dude, go back to what you do, because this would be a perfect spot for Pollard to go bananas, but he's not going to, because he never does. Down at 8K, we've got CJ Stroud. I like that game environment, and Stroud and Goff the same price. It's really interesting the way that FanDuel kind of tightens up the QB salaries. They're not that wide of a spread between Josh Allen and Jared Goff here, but it's just interesting. I like Stroud, I like Goff, definitely both really interesting, good plays this week, I would say. Sam Howell as well. He's at home. Sam Howell's been having good game after good game. They should have no problem dispatching of the Giants. So that's an interesting one as well. Kyler Murray on the road at Houston, playable spot. Here's Brock Purdy. Let's just scroll through here. I mean, look at some of how the mighty have fallen. You've got Geno at 6,900, Levis and O'Donnell towards the bottom here, with Bryce Young and Kenny Pickett sort of rounding out the cheap QBs here. I'm not interested in any of those guys. So for this lineup, I'm going to plug in Jared Goff as my starting point. I think Stroud is fine too. I think there's a lot of acceptable starting points. I'm interested in Kyler Murray as well this week. Stroud, Goff. Yeah, I don't know about Dak. I might have to go back to him after last week. I think Brock Purdy is playable. Murray is playable. Justin Fields at 7,400. I don't know that he's definitely for sure playing, which is why I didn't plug him in here, but I do like. All right, jumping over to the running back position. Let's just get a sense of what's going on here this week. So here we go. Chris McCaffrey, top price guy, 10K, understandable. That is quite a leap above every other running back. So, do with that what you will. It's going to be difficult to afford a 10K player on FanDuel ever. That is just not something that's easy to plug in. Austin Eckler, I think, is in a great spot this week. I really like him. Great matchup. Chargers just produce scores to whoever they're going up against. Jahmyr Gibbs, a little too expensive for a split workload. ETN also, I don't mind ETN here. Normally you want to throw on the Titans, which separately makes Lawrence maybe a little bit interesting in this game and this matchup, but ETN gets enough volume that it doesn't matter that much. So he's in play at 8,300, but probably not somebody I'm forcing. I'd rather go with a slightly lower cost running back. We're going to need probably 3 of them on FanDuel, so one in the flex as well. So I like to get the lowest cost running backs. These guys have touchdown upside. All of them do. So it doesn't really matter which one. I just need to get those tutties. Let's see. David Montgomery at 7,700. Again, a little bit better than Gibbs at 8,400, but he's got the same issue. He needs probably 2 touchdowns to have a chance at making value. And there's 2 running backs playing for this team. And plus, this is a Goff lineup, so I'm definitely not doing that. Saquon Barkley, no. Derrick Henry, no. Jacksonville is elite versus running backs. That is not a place I want to go. Kenny Walker, I do like Kenny Walker here. I do like Josh Jacobs a little bit. So let me plug in Kenny Walker. He's a touchdown and yardage type of back, perfect for FanDuel. Similarly, I think Josh Jacobs, the way they've been using him, look at all this volume he's gotten the last couple of weeks. I think that continues under Aiden O'Connell. So even though, for example, against the Jets, he didn't quite put up a big score, that was a good defensive team. The volume was there. 2 targets, 27 carries. And if you keep feeding this guy that kind of volume, he's going to have a lot of big games. Let's continue on, though. Some other spots that I think are playable here on FanDuel. I think Josh Jacobs is okay. I prefer favored running backs if I have to. Like, I prefer the favored guys, but Jacobs is fine. He's getting all that volume. Brian Robinson, big game last week. Do I want to play him again here? Maybe. He'll be in the mix. Breece Hall in the mix. Aaron Jones in the mix as well. He's in a good spot. Pollard, Connor Ford. We have a lot of value here at the running back position. I'm going to actually pull Jacobs out of there. I think I want to go a little cheaper. So Pollard we can get for 6,900. Go back for more punishment. Hurts. They're not going to give him any carries. So what? Just keep that like BDSM, right? A little punishment. Just keep going back to that. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 10 times. I don't know who to shame anymore. All right. I'm going to plug in Jerome Ford as my second running back. Ford is getting all the work, really, or a lot of the work for Cleveland. It's a great matchup against Pittsburgh. They're at home. So I really like this spot for Jerome Ford. More of a DraftKings or more of a FanDuel guy than a DraftKings guy, but he's playable in all formats. I'd say Connor is fine too. Totally fine. Devin Singletary, boom, let's put him in the flex, 6,500. Like the price point. 30 carries, I believe it was last week, plus a couple targets. So that's the kind of volume I'm looking for, assuming he starts. I like that. Again, James Conner fits as well here. Let's see who else. Jaylen Warren, quote unquote, named the starter, but this is a tough matchup this week. Let's see what the news says. Named Jaylen Warren as their starting running back. According to Warren, before week 10, head coach told him he had been named the starting running back in front of Najee. I don't really think this means anything. They're still going to play both guys. I don't really get it. But let's just look at some other possible playable spots here. James Cook at 6,200. James Cook started to cook a little bit against the Broncos before the Bills just imploded and just more interceptions, but he was looking pretty decent in that game. That's about it. Maybe Dalvin. No one else. It's going to do it. All right. Before we get to wide receiver, I'm going to jump over to defense. And again, reminder, hit that like button if you enjoy this kind of content. What QB are you starting your FanDuel lineup with this week? I mean, Goff is one of them, but man, I could switch. There are so many. Now that I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about Trevor Lawrence, like the first time all year, maybe using Trevor Lawrence in that really good quarterback matchup, or I think that even, Stroud, of course, is super live for 8K if we want to spend up. I like him. Kyler Murray getting it done with his legs at times, and even Brock Purdy. So who do you guys like this week as your starting point running quarterback early in the week? Let me know in the comments. Meanwhile, let's digress here and take a look at the defenses for NFL Week 11. Starting at the very bottom, that's a no on the Panthers. Bears is a no. Raiders is a no. Arizona, no. No. Giants, probably not, but maybe. So any team against Washington, I think you could play that defense. I'm going to give them a maybe. Titans is a maybe. Jets is a maybe. Don't want Tampa? No. Chargers, maybe. They're not a very good defense, but whatever. Oh, here we go. 49ers at 4K. That's decent. That's a decent spot. Pittsburgh or Cleveland, you could play the Steelers defense. That's fine. To Arizona at Houston, maybe. Seattle at the Rams, no. Miami, no. Miami, maybe, but probably not. It's probably not. Jacksonville. Oof, I love Jacksonville in the spot against the Titans. Will Levis, not that good. Cleveland right there against Pittsburgh. So A couple of really good pay up options. Dallas, of course, on the road, Buffalo at home. So this is where you want to live. Cowboys, Bills, yes. Commanders, yes. Browns, yes. Lions, maybe. Jacksonville, yes. FanDuel's done a really, really good job, I have to say, of pricing these defenses. I think they're priced perfectly. The right ones are priced up. So, it's fine to pay all the way up or just punt it out with one of these cheaper spots. I'm going to play San Francisco at home because they're no joke on defense, and I think they're going to smoke Tampa. All right, let's jump over to wide receiver. First, let's take a look at how much salary we have left. So we're sitting on 68.75 of salary. And actually, before we go to wide receiver at that point, because of that salary number, and I want to be really certain about how much we have left, let's actually shift to tight end, where while I already see the guy that I like, there's a couple of them that are really good, but there's really a lot of time. I actually love the tight end position here on FanDuel and just this week in general. Kittle at 7K, too much. Schultz at almost 7K, a little pricey. Laporta playable at 6,700. I like Laporta the best of these three if I'm paying up. Ferguson at 6K, not really, but here's a trio of very startable guys. First, Trey McBride, 5,900. He is just getting peppered with targets every week. Trey McBride is a future stud tight end, it seems like right now. So I'm cool with a little Treasy McBreezy in the tight end spot. So we could plug him in. But the other one that really pops is Dalton Kincaid. The only thing going well for Buffalo right now is Kincaid at the tight end position. And Jets are going to be able to stop that outside wide receiver game. So give me some Kincaid in this one for 5,800. Seems too cheap for him. A couple of the names, though. I think if Fields plays or if he doesn't, Cole Kmet is acceptable. Going down, Logan Thomas is okay. So a nice little set of tight ends this week. Could almost, if this wasn't FanDuel, you could play double tight end. I don't really think that's a good idea on FanDuel. We want that running back, but I like it. All right, last spot. We've got 70-33 average remaining per player. That we could probably play a lot of different ones depending on who we figure out are the salary savers or if there are any salary savers. So let's go through it together because I haven't gone through it yet. It's first look. That's why they call it the first look. So right up at the top, Tyreek Hill, 98K. I mean, it's just a pricing thing. Tyreek Hill is great every single week. 9,800 is a lot to cover. He could do it, but just understand 9/18/27, 30 fantasy points on FanDuel. It's a lot more difficult to achieve that than it is like 30 on DraftKings. As a matter of fact, take a look at his season. And while he's doing good numbers, he's only got the 2 games where you'd be like, oh, I'm happy I played him for 9,800. So he's only doing that once at about 25% of the time. So it's a risky payout. More often than not, he'll get you 15 to 20, which is not that good for it's not that good for a lineup like this. Keenan Allen, 9,300, similar to Tyreek, just a little too expensive. All these guys are a little too expensive here, but I like Keenan, of course, in that spot. CeeDee Lamb only with Dak. If we're going to play Dak, we'd play Lamb. But of course, with Jared Goff, if he's doing his thing, Amon-Ra and Kincaid, or Amon-Ra and Laporta would be the guys. Since Laporta is very expensive, I'm going to go with Amon-Ra as my connected to Jared Goff wide receiver. I like Amon-Ra as a standalone play. 8,900, getting 9/18/27. So he needs to put up a pretty big game to have a shot of making value. He's got a 26 and a 24 in recent weeks. So that's the kind of game he would really need to have been worth using here. Rolling down Diggs, not the best situation. I don't think I'll have much of him. Cooper Kupp, yeah. I think people forget about Kupp. But when Stafford plays and he's healthy, last game Stafford gets hurt and it messes up the whole Kupp last couple games. So Stafford's been hurt. He's back now. We'll see if he's fully back, fully healthy. Don't know. But when Stafford starts, usually Kupp gets a ton of looks. So I don't mind him at 8,200. Ayuk, it's a little too expensive for Ayuk here for me. Not a great matchup for Evans. Devontae Adams, yeah. I mean, he'll get peppered with targets. We'll see if Aiden O'Connell can support a big game from a wide receiver. I don't know. Cooper at 7,300 is a little pricey as well. Collins, if he starts, would be fine with Stroud. Although, yeah, there's Dell and Collins about the same price at this point. So I'd probably favor Collins if he's fully healthy, but we need more of the week to go by to get a feel for that. Metcalf coming up a big targets game, but I don't really think the Rams game is where he's going to go crazy. Not too worried about it. Dell is in play. Wilson's in play. The problem with Garrett Wilson, he's getting all the targets, but he can't get in the end zone because Zach Wilson. So he will, though. He will. And Christian Kirk is very playable. DJ Moore is acceptable if Fields starts. Hopkins, no. Johnson, no. Marquise Brown, maybe. Wow, look at how high Noah Brown has risen, right? He has risen. 6,100. There's Quentin Johnson, 6,200. It's a lot of no's and not interested in this zone here. So, I mean, Christian Watson can help maybe in a tournament. He will one of these weeks. But yeah, that about covers the whole wide receiver position group. So we've got, let's see here, 7,400 left, 6,400 left, which means I got to kind of get a really cheap one so I can get up into the 7Ks for the last guy. There are some super punts that I was interested in. Khalil Shakir is really interesting. Rondell Moore and or Michael Wilson, interesting. Jameson Williams, mildly injured. What did Jameson do last week? I assume nothing. Yeah, 2 targets, 2 receptions. What a disappointment he's been. Just a disappointment. I kind of think I want to play Jahan Dodson coming off that dud. Jahan Dodson coming off that dud game last week. I kind of want to do it. I also don't mind Noah Brown here if he starts, but I'm not sure how the team is going to handle the return of Nico Collins. So I think I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson. Just take a risk at home. Maybe they'll feed him. And last spot, 7K. Let's throw in a little Tank Dell. How about that? Do we want a Chicago piece just because the bring back option? Should I go DJ Moore? We can go with DJ. You know what? Let's go with DJ Moore to sort of create for the competitive game environment. So here we've got a Goff stack with Amon-Ra, comeback of DJ Moore in that really exciting Lions-Bears game. Oh my. And then Dalton Kincaid, just a great tight end for a good price. Singletary, part of this Houston-Arizona game. Did I get another piece from Arizona in here? No, but I really don't mind pieces from that game as well. So I have Singletary and I was going to do Dell, but I didn't. So don't have multiple pieces from that game, but we have one. I actually have 200 in salary to spend on defense if we want, but I don't think I'm going to upgrade it. I think I was pretty happy with that defense here. I mean, Houston's okay too, but I think San Francisco is a better call than any of those. So that's going to do it, guys. Our lineup, our NFL first look lineup for week 11 on FanDuel here. Again, like, subscribe. And if you're not signed up with DFS Army, get in there. Now's the time. Promo code Geek gets you 10% off. Domination Station Optimizer is there churning out winners every single week. We've got NBA and NHL, hockey, PGA. I think NASCAR just came to an end. So, and esports, League of Legends. We covered all. DFS Army. Come get signed up, start winning, compete like a pro. I'll see you guys next time.